All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Fleet News Group podcast. Today, I'm with Lauren Lister from Custom Fleet. She's the Vice President of People, Performance and Culture. And I'm really excited to have Lauren because I've been following Custom Fleet for a number of years and looking at the initiatives they have from a people and culture point of view. And we're going to hear a lot today from Lauren, especially about the word belonging, because that seems to be a cornerstone of the work they're doing at Custom Fleet. So, Lauren, welcome as a guest to the Fleet News Group podcast.
Thanks so much, Mark. It's great to be here with you today.
Yeah. So let's just get started with a little bit about Lauren. Can you tell us a bit about yourself and how long you've been at Custom Fleet and how you found your way into fleet?
Yeah, sure. Happy to. So I've been in the fleet industry for probably around about 12 years. That was started where I was actually part of the GE Capital business, where I was the HR director for a number of the commercial finance portfolios. And the custom fleet business was one of those. So it was then 8 years ago, roughly, that I transferred over to become the Vice President of People, Performance and Culture here at Custom Fleet. And that was when Element acquired the custom fleet business. So, yeah, it's great to now be able to focus on one industry being fleet and to kind of see its evolution and the opportunity that's ahead.
Yeah, wow. We often talk about in fleet how diverse the role is. As a fleet manager, you've got to manage risk, you've got to manage budgets, you've got to manage procurement, stakeholders. Do you see that within Custom Fleet? You're obviously doing all that. So you have a lot of different skill sets across the business. Can you give us a bit of an idea of the sort of roles that you have within the business?
Yeah, of course. Happy to. So I would say probably around about 70% of the roles in our company interface directly with our customers. And that's really important for us because we're really focused on being the most customer-centric in our approach. So if I think, first of all, about those sorts of roles, there's a variety in the business that would touch directly with our customers, being business development, we've got relationship management, we've also got a fantastic strategic consulting team as well. And so those types of roles in our organisation are always focused on understanding and solutioning for our customers' needs. We also have our fleet partnerships and operations teams. They're kind of the lifeblood of the organisation because they're really helping us enable the day-to-day management of our clients' needs. So, be it actually activating a new vehicle or they might be at the other end of terminating a lease. So, they're really key in making sure that, all of the things that need to happen on a day-to-day basis occur. But of course, they're also supported by some great enabling functions as well that, I guess, unlock the opportunity and experiences for our teams and our customers. So areas like IT, finance, my own team, the people team. So there's a lot of different kind of aspects there. And when you think about it, we have to have people who are like ex-mechanics because they need to be able to understand all of the ins and outs to, best service our vehicles. And then there's also areas where we're very deliberate about not getting fleet experience as well. So that we can, again, have different thinking within the organisation. And we think that it's the balance of those two that really allow us to kind of grow and learn from each other and deliver the best outcomes.
Yeah, it's interesting. My background's actually as a mechanic, and that's how I got into fleet.
Fantastic.
So, yeah, and it tends to be, I suppose, in the self-managed fleet world, there tends to be a lot of ex-mechanics or workshop type technical people. But I've seen when they bring in non-fleet people, what a benefit it brings. And I suppose that's what you're saying, having that balance is really important, would you say?
Yeah, it is. At first, when we first made the transition to Element, obviously Element globally are solely a fleet management company, we felt a need to initially really upskill on the fleet side because we were separating from an organisation that hadn't been purely fleet. But I think as time's progressed and we look at what's ahead of us and the challenges that lie ahead and how things are changing, you definitely need that difference of thinking coming through that we're seeing and getting that balance of non-experienced people as well.
Yeah, all those mechanics with fat fingers and bad spelling, don't you know?
I didn't say that, Mark.
Well, just talking about the profile, so I go to a lot of fleet conferences, and it's changed over the years, but there was one earlier this year where they did a survey and they talked about the average age in fleet, and I think from the audience it was roughly 50, between 50 and 55. You're doing a lot of work at Custom Fleet, I suppose, retooling for the future and preparing. Has that demographic changing? Are you seeing more younger people come into Fleet?
Yeah, definitely. So I know that, I do a little bit of work being in my role. I like to understand the demographics of our workforce here, and our average age at Custom Fleet is actually 41. We've got our youngest employee is just 20 and our oldest is 70. So we've got a really great broad range of I guess, generations represented there. So we've kind of got the baby boomer end, so around 6% of our population sit there. Our biggest group is actually at the Gen Y, so that's kind of people that are between 30 to 44. That's about 51% of our organisation. And then we do have, as you've alluded to, a great kind of incoming new generation, that are coming through Gen Z. They're between 20 to 29, and we've got about 42 of those employees, so about 11% of our workforce is Gen Z. So what's really interesting there is that we know that the younger workforce is really seeking something different in their experience. They really want to see that their personal values of making a difference and mental health and work-life balance are aligned with a company. They want to work with a company purpose that aligns with theirs. And so a couple of years ago, we actually worked with all of our employees to co-create our company purpose and driving force, so that it could be something that they could connect to and that they can therefore enable going forward. So that's been really great. I think the other thing that the younger workforce really value is this diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, topic that we've, kind of spoken to a little bit. So for us, that's really at the cornerstone of our workplace. Creating an environment, I think, where everyone can show up to be their true selves, feel safe, supported, make a difference in the community. That's really important to many generations, but definitely seeing that come through in the youngest generation. And of course, that focus on diversity, that's not the main reason we do it. We don't just do it to attract the new generation. We do it because it's the right thing to do. But I can say that we've actually had a really significant number of candidates cite our work in diversity as their reason for joining Custom Fleet. So we're really proud of that. And I do think that's an area that the industry can continue to focus more on.
Yeah. So when you say diversity, I suppose it's not just about gender, it's about backgrounds and culture and everything like that as well, isn't it? And I suppose reflecting the Australian society, is that kind of am I understanding that right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. So there's, so many components of what makes us all unique. So, and we've just talked about generations. That's obviously one component, but it's far from the only. So, for us, we really acknowledge that creating that kind of safe and unbiased environment for our employees to grow and thrive confidently in is a space where people can show up and bring their whole selves to work. And I think when you've got diversity in an organisation, it comes with greater perspectives, greater learning, experiences, opportunities. It just means that you get that different thought process happening, and that in turn gives us better outcomes and solutions for our people and customers, our planet. So that's really important for us. And you mentioned the word belonging before, Mark, as well. So I might just take a moment to touch on that, if that's okay, because
yeah, please.
A lot of people refer to diversity, equity and inclusion, and not too many people add the word belonging, but we've been really intentful in doing that because belonging is about the feeling that you can create for your employees. And think about it for yourself. When you feel like you belong, you're safe, you can bring your whole self to work, you can show up, you know that you're going to be supported. And basically it's a place where you can be your best and everyone benefits. So for us, that sense of belonging that we create is really key. So we don't track all types of diversity. So I can tell you some stuff we track. So, for example, I can tell you that we've got 52% of our organisation are females. That's great in a typically male-dominated industry. But I can't tell you every cultural background because we don't track that. So, but I can also tell you that it's hugely diverse and we've got great representation from all over the world that helps us, kind of celebrate that. The other thing that we have in place as well is something that we call intersection. That's basically a network of employees. We've got around about 45 employees across the organisation that are part of that. And they're really focused on creating that, diverse, marginalised, underrepresented voice for our employees. So we've got areas around cultural connect, which is around different cultures and celebrating those. But we also have a particular focus on deepening our connection to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander and Maori people. We also have a pride stream, so focused on all aspects of LGBTQ people. We have Elevate Her, so focused on elevating women in the workplace, which is great. And then we actually added a fourth stream this year called Capability, and that's focused on neurodiversity, disability and wellbeing in the workplace. So they're some of the areas where we, over-index on our efforts to, create and foster a diverse workplace.
Yeah, it's really exciting to hear, because when my journey started in Fleet, and when I was one of those younger people, I suppose, that my employer was trying to attract and appeal to my values, having a casual Friday was about as expressive as we were allowed to be. And even that came with a whole lot of rules about what we could and couldn't wear and everything like that. So, it's really interesting to hear. So it sounds like there's been a dramatic shift in the last 20 years since I suppose I've had those casual Friday highlights of my week. What do you see coming for the future? Like, how do you see this moving forward, and what's Custom Fleet doing to get ready for the future, to embrace the employees and their diversity?
Yeah. So it's a good question, right? Because the world is changing rapidly, and I don't know that I know any better than you do, Mark, exactly what's ahead of us. But I think we've got to embrace a world where this continues to be how we come together. I think the opportunity that lies ahead as we think about the future is to be one that becomes more innovative. And I think when you want to become more innovative, you have to have that diversity of thinking. So, we're making some very deliberate plays from a future perspective in terms of how do we shape our workforce in that changing world. So, some of the areas that we're recognising there is that it's more than strategy that gets you into a new future. It's definitely the people component. And so on that innovation piece, we actually launched a new program earlier this year, actually. We call it Next, and that's really to strengthen that muscle of innovation and helping everyone. You don't need to be a creative genius to be able to innovate. You can innovate just by having a great idea and having a place where you can test that out. So we're really focused on that. The other piece that I think is really important for the future, and as we think about capability for the future, is just developing leaders of the future. I think going back 20 years, to take your reference, and what was valued in leadership back then is very different to what's valued today. Today we want leaders who exhibit authenticity and empathy and, take accountability, and also think beyond themselves, as in they think for the enterprise and they think with transparency and agility. So those words probably aren't words we used 20 years ago. So, we're really focused on developing leaders of the future that can be able to, think and act strategically while also being, really human-centered in their approach in doing so. So we've actually been running we're actually coming right to the end of a 2-year program called Beyond, deliberately called Beyond, because it's about looking ahead to the future. For all of our people leaders, so every single people leader in Custom Fleet has gone through that program to really focus on, further developing those skills for the future and what it's going to take to lead in a, ever-changing and dynamic world.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. I certainly know from my own journey when the organisation I was working for did something similar, and some of the create self-awareness, and you become aware of how you're viewed, and as a manager, your different strengths. It's fantastic. So congratulations on those sort of programs.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about them, and you'll have to stay tuned, Mark, because we've got awards in the LearnX 2024 award nominations, so we'll find out in November if we have some luck there. Thank you.
So I suppose all of this, we talked a little bit about customers at the start. All of this comes back to be able to provide great service to your customers. And if you have happy staff, you have happy customers. Is that's where the link is? Is it?
Yeah, it is, but I think it goes beyond that as well. So we do it. We do it because it's the right environment to create for our people, a safe environment, and that in turn, as I said before, allows people to thrive. The other thing, though, that we're seeing a lot of is that this is something that our customers expect within their workplaces, and they expect to partner with other companies that are going to enable them to elevate themselves as well. So, a lot of the customers we speak to now, I would say, particularly in the last 2 to 3 years, in particular, we've seen a lot more focus on customers as they come to tender and go into the market. They're asking a lot more questions on these areas. So they're looking at sustainability as a whole. And for us, sustainability does include diversity and the social impact that we make. And so, we're seeing questions around what are you doing around Torres Strait Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander? What are you doing around, fostering community? So these areas are areas that matter to our customers. They're areas where we get to make a difference beyond fleet management, as in we can make a difference in society. And for us, that's really important. So, yes, of course, has a great impact for the customer by virtue, and we've had some great programs even in partnership. But, there's that opportunity for us to kind of, as a collective society of companies, make the world a better place, which is a really neat thing.
Yeah, excellent. One of the things I was keen on learning about, like Custom Fleet is a well-known Australian New Zealand brand, but it's part of the global Element Fleet Management organisation. Are you seeing this sort of culture and diversity happening across the globe in the other Element businesses as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So they've had a long-established network similar to ours, slightly different focuses and operate slightly differently. But yeah, absolutely seeing that play out, which is really nice, right? To be within a company that values that right up the line, and it goes right up to the board. We've got wonderful representation of women, for example, on the Element board. Our global CEO, Laura, obviously female as well. So it's great to see aspects of diversity play through, not just strategically, but actually in real life, as in how we operate and the like. So certainly all of the work we do here locally has that global support, and it works both ways. Sometimes we're sharing some of our learnings and programs and insights with them, and vice versa, that we have the chance to learn from them as well. So it's nice to be able to kind of get that global benefit there.
Yeah, excellent. We are talking fleet, so I'm just going to jump into a couple of car questions if you don't mind.
Oh, this is where I'm going to fall over.
Well, let's just start. What do you drive? Are you, sports car, family SUV? What's the daily drive?
Family SUV. So yeah. So am I being too shameful on a fleet podcast to say that I'm not a car lover? So.
No, not at all. Because that's the whole point of the diversity.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Back to what I was saying. Luckily, we don't all have to be car experts. So I drive a SUV that helps me get around with the family and the dog in the back and the things that I need to do on weekends and the like. But I also, take public transport as well. I think it's good to have a balance there and do my part for the environment as well.
Yeah, I'm a big public transport lover. I catch it whenever I can. Yeah. All right. So another car question. Electric vehicles. Which side of the fence are you on? Are you a pro electric vehicles or a kind of let's wait? Are you on the other side of the fence?
No. I think electric vehicles have definitely got a place. I think that they're not the silver bullet to all of our environmental solutions that we need. By any means, we need to look at the whole equation of mobility and other forms, even things like what we just spoke about, public transport. How do we create a greater network where we can leverage all mobility solutions together? But yeah, electric vehicles definitely. I mean, there's been a lot of advancements in them. There's more happening in that space. The infrastructure here in Australia, at least, does need to play some catch up. But I think they've definitely got a place going forward. So I'm on the side of electric vehicles.
Okay. I think most fleet people are, but there's always the odd person that's not quite sold on the technology yet. But yeah, I think that the great thing, I'm a pro electric vehicles. I tell people all the time, but as in I love to drive them, the experience and everything like that. But with fleet, you get to say, is it fit for purpose? Where does it sit? Does it, we've got a job to do with our fleet. Where do electric vehicles? If you've got one that fits, great. If not, then
no, exactly, and that's where it's great. Like, we're able to use our strategic consulting team to help our customers make that analysis for themselves. Like, our fleet at Custom Fleet is 100% electric, which is great. So all of our employees drive electric vehicles. That's great because we get to learn from them at the same time as actually deploying them and learning and sharing that back with our customers as well. But we did that after an assessment ourselves of our own fleet. And so, it's great to be able to figure out what the right balance is for our customers on that equation.
Yeah, excellent. Well, that's just about it for our time today, Lauren. So I really appreciate the conversation. It's been great to learn about what's happening at Custom Fleet. And I think that word belonging, to me, has really sort of resonated, because it's not just about diversity in age or gender or anything. It's about, I suppose, that wanting to come to work and be a part of the culture there. So I think that's really great. So I'd just like to thank Geotab as well. Geotab have been a sponsor of our podcast series in 2024. And to our regular listeners, Caroline will be back soon. She's just taking a short break, and I'm filling in for a couple of episodes. So hopefully that I've kept you entertained and informed while she's been away. Once again, Lauren, thanks for being a guest.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And make sure you catch up on all the latest news on our website, one of our websites, fleetevnews.com.au, fleetautonews.com.au, and fleethvnews.com.au. you.